Chase. A simple yet gripping phrase. For years, Sprint Cup Series fans have been drawn to the annual story that unfolds before their eyes, with novels that have been based on the hero, the dark horse, and the legends, all of whom have climbed to the top of the ladder to become champions of this chase. There's that phrase again. And now it's here, in the Truck Series. 7 races, 8 drivers, the endurance, the quest for survival, round to round, pushing the limits every race, every corner, every second. Because in this sport, it only takes one of those seconds to change the course of someone's playoff, of your playoff. Yes, it is in fact a chase to the very end, to that tiny glimpse of light at the end of the tunnel, a chase to victory, to be the last one standing on that stage in Homestead, a chase to become champion. Drama, passion, defeat, victory, all things we've seen this season. But trust me when I tell you this, you haven't seen anything yet. This is the chase.
After 16 regular season races, the playoffs are here. New Hampshire Motor Speedway. It's a new era. For the first time ever, it's the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series Chase. History says you better start up front here at New Hampshire, but John Hunter Nemechek hopes to defy the odds. He's the chaser starting deepest in the field today. The chase is new for all, but championships are old hat for veteran Matt Crafton. He has 2 titles, and you better not count him out for a 3rd. The last 8 New Hampshire winners started on the front row. Timothy Peters hopes to keep the string intact. He starts 2nd today. And it's only fitting that in the first race of the first chase for the championship, the leader starts 1st today. William Byron will roll from the pole at New Hampshire.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we ask that you please rise and remove your hats as the United States Coast Guard Honor Guard presents our nation's colors. Please remain standing as Bruce Peterson offers our invocation.
Shall we pray? Our God and our Father, we thank you for the beauty of this day. We thank you for those who make this day possible and work behind the scenes. We thank you for the opportunity to be able to come and share in this exciting day. Be with our crew teams, be with our drivers, be with those who are responsible for our protection. We ask especially that you would be with those around the world who protect our country and protect our rights. For it's in Jesus' name that I pray. Amen.
Here to perform our national anthem, please welcome Sudbury, Massachusetts native Madeline Paquette.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
It's all about to begin at New Hampshire Motor Speedway as we open the chase. It is a stunningly beautiful fall day at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series Chase. Good afternoon and welcome along with Michael Waltrip and Phil Parsons. I'm Vince Welch. There have been 18 truck races before here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, but none as significant as the one you're about to watch today, because this is the first race ever for the Truck Series in the Chase. It's pretty special.
Yeah, Vince, you mentioned it's a new era for the Truck Series. Normally, when we would get to this point in the season, we would have 2, 3, maybe even 4 drivers in contention for the championship. The way I count it, we have double that now. We have 8 drivers still in contention for this championship, including our point leader, William Byron. 5 wins this year, but he only has a 15-point lead right now over Daniel Hemrick and Timothy Peters. Any one of these 8 drivers can go on and win this championship, and they want to punch their ticket by getting a victory here. But, Michael, they're not the only guys that want to get to victory lane here.
That's right. There's 20 other drivers that think that they can drive their trucks to victory lane, and they're going to give it all they have today to do that. You can't race any harder than these guys have been racing all year long, but you certainly might ought to think about racing a little smarter as we enter the chase. We watched a great finish in Canada. Watch the bump here by John Hunter Nemechek. Gets Cole Custer out of shape. Here's another little bump. Everything's fine until this point, but it didn't work well enough, and John Hunter swept Custer into the wall and took away a sure victory for Cole Custer that would put him in the chase for our championship. Instead, he's out looking in. I don't know whether he will retaliate against John Hunter Nemechek today or not, but I know where they're starting on the grid is really interesting. There's the John Hunter Nemechek truck in 15th, and just ahead of him is Cole Custer. So we're going to see great racing today. You slip, you slide, you're going to bump, and you're going to bang, but you better keep your cool, and you better keep the big picture in mind, which is being the champion when we get to Miami.
And strategy could come into play here. Last year, we had guys stay out on the racetrack when the caution came on. The 3 guys that stayed on the racetrack finished 1, 2, 3 in this race last year.
And the year before, the guy that pitted and started back from 7th or 8th, he
goes
drove
to
the
victory lane. Unbelievable.
Figure that out, Vince.
Well, I'm going to try. I've got 175 laps to do it, but it's going to be fun. There's no question about it. Getting ready to go racing, but first we've got to get that command.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, here to give the start engine command for today's race, please welcome your Grand Marshal, President of the University of Northwestern Ohio, Dr. Jeff Jarvis.
On behalf of everyone at UNOH, NASCAR fans, say it with me. Drivers, start your engine!
Enthusiasm all the way around. The trucks are fired. They'll be rolling when we come back. The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series Chase from New Hampshire. It's a picture-perfect day, just the way it ought to be for the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series Chase. It's race number 1. They call it the Magic Mile as we take a look at our Camping World track description, Phil.
Yeah, great racetrack. You see the turns are banked about 2 degrees down at the very bottom, up to 7 degrees. These guys may even use the apron of the racetrack when looking for a little bit of grip, but you really want to get off that corner for these long 1,500-foot straightaways. A lot of speed to make up there.
Let's look at our Camping World Truck Series race analysis. The race is 175 laps. You can see the caution clock. It'll be in play. It'll go off the brown lap. About 40 laps of green flag racing. The fuel wind is 80 to 85 laps, and that's important, guys, because we're going to have to use strategy. We know we've got a favorite in this event. It's William Byron. He's fast. These other teams are going to try to figure out how to trick him, get him deep in the field, and take advantage of that.
32 trucks, 8 chasers. As we take a look at our starting lineup for today's 175-lapper here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. And there's our Chase competitors. All have the yellow Chase tag on their names, but there's plenty other competitors not in the Chase that have their own agenda and a legitimate shot to win any of these 7 races in the Chase, including we saw there Tyler Reddick or Ben Rhodes. Brett Moffitt has already won once this season, but a non-Chase championship eligible driver.
Yeah, 6 of our chasers made the top 12, the final round in qualifying. Daniel Hemrick, John Hunter Nemechek just outside that top 12.
A couple of fast trucks starting back outside of the top 10. You can see there Cole Custer, John Hunter Nemechek.
John West Townley, double duty this weekend, was in Kentucky, ran the ARCA race last night.
Stuart Friesen from Canada here racing, Rico Abreu.
Great story by Jordan Anderson. Crowd-funded, really, to get enough money to afford an engine to run this race here.
You see the remaining drivers in our 32 truck field. 16 rows. Going to have plenty of great camera angles for you today, including some onboard cameras, Phil.
Yeah, let's take a look at the Jegs onboard. This is Cody Coffin. He's making his 7th start of the year. He's got a couple top 15 finishes. He will be driving that Jegs.com Toyota from the 16th spot. Going to have a great look from this bumper cam.
Let's hop on board with John Hunter Nemechek in the Fire Alarm Services Incorporated Chevrolet. John Hunter's rolling from the 15th position. A lot of eyes will be on this truck today.
We're also going to ride on the Ford onboard of Daniel Hemrick. He's the Blue Gate Bank Ford. He's got top 3 finishes in his last 4 races, and he would sure love another one here, and he starts from the 13th spot.
I talked earlier about William Byron being our favorite. We're going to go up in the truck of the guy that could be the 2nd favorite. That's Matt Crafton. He's in the Ideal Door Menards Toyota, and this truck is really fast. And Matt Crafton, his crew chief junior joiner, they have the experience and the knowledge it's going to take down William Byron.
Wear me out all day, all right? Stay ahead of this place. Kick their teeth in. Sir, brought out our friends. We don't need any more.
Love that.
We brought all our friends. We don't need any more.
Love that killer attitude from Crafton and company. Let's check in with our pit reporters, beginning with Caitlin Vincey.
Well, Vince, you guys were talking about Daniel Hemrick earlier. He qualified 13th, a little further back in the field, but I spoke with Daniel just a bit ago. He said we may take some gambles or risks on pit road to try and gain some track position. Now, he also told me this week he spoke with team owner and former Cup Series champion Brad Keselowski on the best way to approach this chase format. And he said, Brad also reminded me, make sure you manage the stress of this chase while still producing those results on track, because it can be a very fine balance for drivers who are going through it for the very first time. So certainly a lot of pressure on these drivers' shoulders as we approach chase race number 1. Hermie?
Well, Caitlin, Matt Crafton is the only driver in series history able to win back-to-back championships. So you may think he may favor a traditional points system. Well, this year he's glad there's a chase, and here is why. Look at the 5 races for the 88 team heading into Loudon this weekend. 27th, a 4th and a 7th, but then 32nd and 12th. These guys need some advantage, some momentum heading into this race. They qualified 7th, and as Michael said, they've got a truck that gives them a shot to win.
Certainly going to be fun to watch, Hermie. Thank you very much. The pace truck will pull off. You're about to witness NASCAR history, the first ever chase race for the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. William Byron and Timothy Peters on the front row, green at New Hampshire.
Looks like a little bit of a seize up there. It might have been the 8 of John Hunter Nemechek.
Just make a note of that. William Byron took the outside lane. We're on a short track, right? You'd think you'd want to be dead down on the bottom. He takes the outside and drives around the top of Timothy Peters. The spotters take note of that. Fans at home, watch that too, because it could be a big story as this race winds down.
There's Crafton in that 88 looking to make a move already, surrounded by a couple of teammates, the 41 of Ben Rhodes and the 13 of Cameron Haley, as our first lap is in the books, and William Byron, the pole winner, leads lap 1.
Got to be careful on these low air pressures on these trucks right here. There's Austin Hill, the 02. Great qualifying effort for that young man. Made the final round, top 12. Caution already.
Boy, it didn't take long for that, did it? First one of the day, and it's the 10 of Caleb Rourke. And in against that, the security of the sand barrels right there at the front entrance of pit road.
He obviously had some sort of an issue there. The right front was locked up.
Looked like he tried to get onto pit road, and the right front of that truck was dragging the ground. You can see the sparks there, and it just wouldn't turn.
Sure, Rourke was having some sort of an issue, but obviously trying to get to pit road right out of the gate.
You know, here at New Hampshire, guys, it's really hard to see through the trucks ahead of you. There's no banking, so you're setting flat. And you can see we always have issues like this on the start. One truck misses a shift or doesn't get going as quickly as the others, and you can have big trouble.
There was a chain reaction there. It looked like the 8 they all got seized up here, and the 8 of John Hunter had to jam on the brakes, and the trucks behind him had to take evasive action.
And Phil, how much you think that is nerves and just anxiety, wanting to get going right here on the start? Hopefully we can have smoother restarts as we race forward.
I remember when we first went to double file restarts, we had a huge wreck here on a restart.
Well, the cleanup continues. track crews getting to work out early here at New Hampshire. William Byron, 18 years old, comes into this chase opener as our championship points leader. And he does so on the strength of 5 victories. The front runner, the favorite for the championship trophy. But it's interesting, you know, he won 5 times. Daniel Hemrick made the chase on points, didn't win a single race all season long, and they had the same exact amount of points throughout the entire season.
That's what's amazing is the year William Byron had with 5 wins, he actually has a bigger point lead now with the chase than he did if we'd have been traditional points as of last year and all years previous to this.
And we think about this guy, Matt Crafton. Look, he's 47 points back. We think about him as a points racer.
Yeah, and he's out, but he's out.
Yeah.
Last year's point system.
That's right. And now he gets the chance to come in and bounce all the way up to being one of our points chasing favorites.
I would call this maybe 4 guys with a chance of winning the championship from Timothy Peters on up, and Timothy Peters would be a dark horse.
How about 8, 9, 10? Kennedy is in the chase. Cameron Haley and Cole Custer out of the chase, despite the fact they scored the same amount of points as Ben Kennedy.
That's because we want to reward winning, Vince, and that's the way these guys are racing. And you can see now the whole world is different this year.
And now, because of the chase, and we set it up with 2,000 points, everybody was reset. The chasers were reset at 2,000 points, and then you got 3 bonus points for each win. And as they run now, you see what William Byron finds himself on top of the standings, and we'll keep you updated as we continue through this chase opening race here at New Hampshire. Let's check in with Herbie.
Vince, you guys, speaking of Timothy Peters in the 17, and you can tell this race team is on a mission starting this weekend. Speed has not been the issue for the 17. It's been execution, whether it be on the racetrack or an issue on pit road or pit strategy or some issue like that. But this race team this weekend got off to a rough start in opening practice, about 15th fastest, but methodically made their way up the speed chart, qualified second. And I spoke to Timothy Peters in the pre-race show and a little bit off camera, and these guys are primed right now. They're really excited about the truck, the opportunity, and the way this team is coming together, they think, at the right time of the year.
And remember, Timothy Peters' crew chief Shane Huffman was the crew chief for the winning truck last year when Austin Dillon drove it to victory here.
And that's why I was surprised that they were a little bit off when they started practice. And I said, is that the same setup you guys used last year? He said, no, Gateway's very close to this racetrack, and that didn't work in Gateway, so we came here with something totally new and just had to tune on it a little bit.
You see the safety trucks out. Cleanup continues. Hoping to go green soon here at New Hampshire. Tomorrow, the fastest sport in the world is at Gateway Motorsports Park in St. Louis for the NHRA Midwest Nationals. Coverage begins tomorrow, 2 o'clock Eastern on FS1. You can watch it live on Fox Sports Go. Still under caution, but the cleanup has been taken care of. Very close to getting back to green flag racing. But first, let's check in with Caitlin. Caitlin?
Well, Vince, Tyler Reddick is one of the drivers who didn't qualify for this year's chase, but he's looked good so far this weekend. I talked with him on the grid just prior to the race. He said, we had better qualifying speed than I thought we did, ended up qualifying 4th. He said, I feel like we have a top 5 truck here today, but he said, you know, we didn't make the chase, but the goal for us still to win races for the remainder of the year. We're no longer racing for points, so we feel like we can be a little bit more aggressive maybe than some of these chase guys in terms of going for a win. And Tyler Reddick, still one of those guys who's looking for his very first win of the 2016 season. Vince?
Well, it'd be the first win of the season, but certainly not the first win of his career. I mean, he won 2 races last year, finished 2nd in the championship, and maybe one of the biggest surprises is that Reddick and his crew chief Doug Randolph aren't in the chase this year.
Yeah, that's left side of your screen here. That's Doug Randolph, longtime crew chief. As you mentioned, tremendous year last year with Tyler Reddick, and just didn't quite. We penciled him in as a winner, for sure, winner, and a chase maker when we got to Daytona, but it just didn't happen.
Yeah, the team hasn't shown the speed they had a year ago, but they're certainly got a good truck under him here today, lining up for this double file restart. Byron chooses the outside again. He liked the way that worked on the start. And Phil, now we've just got to settle down and make sure we're a little bit conservative if you're back 10th or 12th row in this restart, because you can end your day right here on this restart.
You can't greatly improve your day, but you can certainly end your day right here on this restart.
Some of the great onboard looks that we'll bring you today. John Hunter Nemechek started 15th. It's Cody Coughlin actually right next to Nemechek.
Got his jigs. Cam, look at him working those tires in. They want to make sure they get all the heat they can get in them and all the rubble that's on them off.
Talked a lot about Reddick. Well, there's his teammate for Brad Keselowski Racing, Daniel Hemrick.
One of our chasers. And there's the guy Hermie was talking about, two-time champion Matt Crafton. Great truck here this weekend for Matt Crafton.
It's going to be fun to see how Matt is able to race up through here. Everybody thinks he's going to be able to drive to the front, but it's so difficult to pass here at New Hampshire.
The debris is cleared, the pace truck is off, and the restart is underway. William Byron and Timothy Peters.
William has a teammate right behind him, Christopher Bell, who Timothy drives her hard down in turn 1.
Byron making it work again on the outside, and he's bringing Christopher Bell with him. Bell trying to grab second from Timothy Peters.
Got a good glimpse of how that second lane was banked a little bit more than the bottom. Oh, trouble already.
Big contact in the back of the 49. That's Josh Wise and the 63 of Okonori Ogata.
Cut up on you there, bub.
So heavy damage to that truck and the 49 of Josh Wise.
Can't quite get going here, can we?
No. These trucks were racing back for the 25th position, and we talked about patience and how you can lose a lot on these restarts, and that's a great example of it. It didn't happen on the front straightaway. They waited till the back, but still, while dicing for positions on the restart, trouble.
Take a look at it deep in the pack. You'll see that bright orange 63 there at the top of your screen.
He gets loose off of 2 there. Probably going to try to, he's probably going to just drive down into the 49 of Josh Wise, and nothing Josh could do about it. He's minding his own business, and the 63 just got loose.
That had to just shock Josh Weiss. I bet he was stunned when those trucks came together. He was pointed straight down the back straightaway, and all of a sudden, he's just head on into the outside wall.
There's another view of it there from behind. And as you mentioned, there's no way Josh had any idea that that was coming.
Fortunate that those trucks behind those two didn't end up getting caught up in that wreckage as well. Looks like everybody else avoided contact, but certainly the 63 and 49 with heavy damage here early on. So what's this do for those drivers, not just the chase drivers, but all the drivers in this field? You know, we had the early yellow with Caleb Rourke getting into the barrier at the beginning of pit road, and now we go green and bam, right back under yellow again, unable to get their rhythm.
It's hard to get a rhythm and hard to really know what your truck's going to be doing. You know, you had qualifying, so you had an idea, but we've had another cup practice since then, and the temperatures are warming up, so you really don't have any idea yet what your truck's going to be like.
It's frustrating. You just want to go. You want to race. You want to get some laps in so you can get some feedback to your crew about what you need to be better, and they're unable to do that.
We'll hope to find that rhythm when we come back. Camping World Truck Series Chase from New Hampshire. After a couple of early yellows have disrupted the flow, about ready to go back racing here at New Hampshire. Kyle Busch Motorsports teammates on the front row to lead us to green. William Byron on the inside.
Had his teammate behind him that time, so Byron chose the inside. Look at Peters' really strong challenge up the middle.
He had to give a little bit of room to Reddick on the inside, and wisely Reddick backed off a little bit. Now he's 3 wide.
Christopher Bell trying to hold on to second, but Peters is challenging on the inside, and that red and white 17 looks like he's going to get it.
Yeah, keep an eye on that 11 truck behind. That's Timothy Peters' teammate, Brett Moffitt, side by side with the 41 of Ben Rhodes.
You see those championship eligible drivers, the chase trucks, they're highlighted in blue. The Camping World nameplate across the top windshield, the splitter in blue, and the spoiler in the back of the truck in blue as well. Those are all your championship eligible chasers.
Watch this red and white truck, the 17 of Timothy Peters, as he goes into 3. It's really bumpy down there getting in. You see the truck buffeting around. That could cause the lower truck to bounce up into the truck on the high side. Watch for that all day long. They say, the drivers are telling me, that it's much rougher down into turn 3 than it was when they were here last year.
Great battle for second, and battles back in the field as well. The 8 truck of John Hunter Nemechek started 15th, the deepest chaser in the field at the start of the race, trying to make his way up on a track that's really hard to pass. That track position means everything.
We saw him dip his left sides down below the yellow line like we were talking about. There's another chaser, the 33 of Ben Kennedy. They're racing for position, back about 15th.
Wow. Nemechek really drove hard into the third corner through those bumps, but he made it work. He stayed on the bottom. Kennedy in the 33 on the outside. That's the truck he won Bristol, the last short track race with. So that's a great truck, and he's having a good run.
We talked to him last night. He said, I'd love to have this truck back.
Just think about that, Phil. Last time he was sitting in it, it was victory lane when he got out of it.
Nemechek made that pass stick, as you see Cody Coughlin in the 51. Making that pass inside, trying to get inside the 81 of Ryan Truex, as Rico Abreu and the red and black 98 just behind them.
Really close racing here. If we would have seen those guys race that close on a mile and a half, we probably would have saw the truck on the inside lose all the air off that rear spoiler. Good short track racing here, though.
There's Johnny Sauter getting past Tyler Reddick. Looked like Reddick had a moment.
Almost into the outside wall. I think he had to back off the gas to keep from running into the wall.
Kaz Gralla in the 24 coming up to challenge, but looks like Reddick has collected himself.
Gralla, it's a home game for him. He's from Massachusetts and loves this facility and loves being able to race in front of his hometown fans.
Reddick trying to make it stick down into the corner, but Gralla not giving up.
Gralla's a member of the GMS racing team. That 24 truck has 3 teammates here in this race. Riding along with Daniel Hemrick now.
See the way those
on board.
See the way those trucks bounce down into there? Man, that's tough to hold when you're racing side by side. Gralla, the rookie, does a great job.
On board with Hemrick with his teammate Reddick. You see the window net on the 50 truck. That's Travis Quapple, and the window net has come down. He was running 25th, so they're going to have to bring him to pit road and get that addressed.
Has to make sure he's not speeding. The speed limit on pit road is 45 miles an hour. You don't want to compound an issue with another problem.
Quapple, a former winner here, won back in 2004, one of only 2 former winners in the field. Cole Custer won this race a couple of years ago. Custer runs 9th as you look at Cameron Haley in the 13, Brett Moffitt in the 11, and there's your leader, William Byron.
He's in a different zip code right now.
Almost 3.5 second advantage already.
And that just puts an exclamation point on what we talked about earlier. These crew chiefs on pit road for the other teams, they've got to use a different strategy. They've got to mix up things in order to do anything with William Byron.
Wow. John West Townley had to get out of that because there were 3 wide with Gallagher and Cody Coughlin. Townley was in the middle, and he wisely backed out of it.
Spencer Gallagher says, I want to get away from this bunch. I'm going to drive her hard down in this corner. He was in that 23 truck.
And there's a problem for Daniel Hemrick, one of our chasers.
I think the left front tire is down on that truck.
Spun around, had a flat tire, and looks like couldn't quite keep control of it. He was fading back, running in the 12th position. This caution, though, could keep him on the lead lap.
You know, it's ironic. During our last commercial break, Hermie Sadler noticed how low the left side of that 19 truck was, and we noticed it. He seemed to be lower than the other trucks.
Shedding debris.
Looks like the left rear tire is down for sure.
And he's just ahead of our leaders, so he won't be able to stay on the lead lap. He's on the lead lap now, but when he comes to pit road, I think he'll lose that lap.
I think he's better off coming to pit road than try to work the wave around or maybe get a free pass later on. It's going to be all he can do to get that truck to pit road.
Boy, it just hasn't been the kind of weekend that Hemrick and this 19 team was hoping to have as a chaser coming in here. It seems like they've kind of been a little bit behind all weekend long, and then this right out of the gate.
13 top 10 finishes for this driver and team this year. Only 3 races this year outside the top 10.
But this isn't the end of the day for this team.
Not at all.
It's early enough in the race. He can get a free pass. He can get back in this thing. And he's just got to start thinking points now.
Hermie?
Yeah, the 19 hits the pit box. They've already won the left side. They'll have to raise it up. We talked about a flat left rear. Crew Chief Chad Kendrick still discussing it. They lift up the left side to get the jack under. Really no explanation or conversation from Daniel Hemrick on exactly what caused the flat. We'll try to get a reason for that issue and get back to you.
Well, and maybe if there's a silver lining, so often we see If a truck has a flat, we end up seeing the truck into the wall, but that wasn't the case for Hemrick. No wall contact at all, was able to keep it off the concrete, but certainly a tough start to the race for one of our championship chasers, Daniel Hemrick.
A lot of times, Phil, on short tracks, you get to racing side by side, and someone will bounce into your left side, maybe trying to get underneath of you and knock a valve stem out or cut the side of the tire. Maybe that's what happened. There was a small fire. There's a big fire into the back of that thing. I wonder if that's just rubber that is left from
that tire.
Or is there an issue with that left rear?
Hemrick's going to come back in, and that will be addressed.
That looks, a lot of times when you tear up a tire like he did, it wraps around the rear end housing and the brake caliper. A lot of heat under that truck. Ben Kennedy takes this opportunity to come to pit road as well with a 33 truck. Right side tires.
Chassis adjustment for the 33 also. Spencer Gallagher comes for a 4-tire change, and change of balance also. Jordan Anderson is in. Rico Abreu, the 98.
Cody Coughlin, the 51 Jegs truck, also on pit road.
Hermie, more on the 19.
Daniel Hemrick reported when he came down pit road this time, I'm losing brakes. It must be an issue with the left rear brake line. He feels like he's losing fluid, getting on the rotor and causing that fire. So another issue compounded for the 19.
Trouble for one of our championship contenders, Daniel Hemrick. Major issue early at New Hampshire. This is not how you want your day to begin, especially if you're one of the championship contenders. A chaser, Daniel Hemrick, with problems in the pits, and we're back green with William Byron leading the way.
And how about William Byron took the inside on that restart, Michael?
He did the restart before. I wonder if that had something to do with his teammate, Phil. It seems like, though, he would want the outside and just sweep in front of his teammates. That's not the way that went down. That's interesting.
Great fight behind Byron for second. That's Christopher Bell in the 4 truck. The red and white 17 is Timothy Peters, and Ben Rhodes in the 41.
Good run through the center of the corner for the 17 of Timothy Peters. That's a good illustration of how much flatter that bottom lane is than the second lane up.
Here comes Matt Crafton in that bright yellow 88. 2-time champion, has won twice this season. He's on the march.
Trying to get by his teammate, one of his teammates, Cameron Haley, in that 13 truck.
Check out the 11, Brett Moffitt. What a great run off turn 2 he got. He sweeps around Crafton.
Well, that 11 truck has been stout all season long. No matter who seems to be in it, it always seems to have good speed.
Good run through the center and off the corner for Matt Crafton. Not quite able to clear Moffitt in the 11 truck.
You can see Johnny Sauter there in the 21 black truck just behind Moffitt. What a strong truck he had in practice yesterday, so it would be no surprise to see Sauter drive to the front.
Oh, a little contact there between Sauter and the 11 of Brett Moffitt.
You can see those bumps you were talking about as they get down into turn number 3. Look at that truck of Sauter's turn, that 21 truck right in the center of the corner.
The 00 of Cole Custer back there as well, just inside the top 10. Take a look at this contact again between the right-hand side of the screen between Sauter and Moffitt.
That's how bad he needed that position. He left the gas down and just tried to crank it to the left a little bit more. Made slight contact with Moffitt.
It's a battle for the 7th position. Moffitt, the 11, has it. Sauter wants it.
Driver's starting to settle into a little bit of a rhythm here after 3 early yellows. You see our leaderboard at the top of the screen and the positions in which they run. The chasers are highlighted in yellow. 1, 2, 3 they run with Byron, Bell, and Peters, all championship eligible.
Crafton easily makes the pass on Haley for the 5th spot.
He's marching, Phil.
Yeah, I think a little bit of teammate action there. I think Haley, that 13 truck, let him go.
See the countdown clock, the caution clock in the upper left-hand portion of the screen. If you're not familiar with the truck series, if that clock gets to 0 without a caution, then we'll have a caution, and that'll bring the green flag racing to a stop. You saw that 19 of Daniel Hemrick still on pit road now, 8 laps down, a championship chaser, and what a tough blow to start his chase.
That might put them in a position that they have to go to win next week or the following week at Talladega.
Well, we've got 4 of the top 5 are chasers. The one that's not is that 41 of Ben Rhodes. Caitlin?
Well, Vince, I spoke spoke with Ben's crew chief, Kevin Bellicourt, earlier, and he said, this whole weekend has been really good for us. They were top 2 in both practice sessions, ended up qualifying 5th, and Kevin reminded me he crew chief for William Byron at this track last year in the NASCAR K&N Pro Series East. So both Kevin and Ben Rhodes have experience at this racetrack. He told me the goal for us the next couple weeks, of course, is to win races and spoil the Chase guys' fun. So right now, that 41 team on a mission to do just that. Hermie.
Well, Caitlin, we saw the 9 of William Byron take the outside the first couple of restarts. The most recent one, he took the bottom of the racetrack. Crew Chief Rudy Fugel told me they decided to try that at this point of the race just to see how the truck responded to starting down there in case they were forced to or wanted to later today. Now, as far as this racetrack's concerned, he started neutral. He's a little bit on the free side the longer they run, but obviously very, very fast. And Vince, also the 19, Daniel Hemrick, now behind the wall. They are bleeding the brakes.
So the problems continue for Daniel Hemrick.
Yeah, more than likely the rubber from that cut tire broke a brake line, and then by the time they got the rubber out, it lost all the rear brake fluid, and they had no rear brakes.
How smart is Rudy Fugel? We saw William easily take the lead from the outside, but then he was pinched to the bottom. He was still able to keep the lead, but I think it was more difficult. He had guys trying to dive to the inside of him, and that didn't work as well as I think on the outside. But another box checked by the crew chief on this really fast 9 truck of William Byron.
You never know if we might be forced into having to restart on the bottom because we may not have lane choice later on in the race.
And just think about last week, faced with adversity, crashed early. Fugel said, let's go team, we're gonna fix this truck. Even though we've got 5 wins, we're easily in the chase, we're gonna practice in case we get in a bind during the chase.
I asked William if his dad Bill was gonna be here. He usually comes to all his races. He said no, he and my mom Dana are at my sister Catherine's family weekend. She's in college as well as William. I said, well, is Uncle Rudy in charge? He said, yeah, Uncle Rudy's in charge. He's doing a pretty good job so far.
Uncle Rudy's got this, I can promise you that.
I'm sure Mom and Dad are keeping a close eye on what's happening here at New Hampshire. As you look at the 33 of Ben Kennedy, Kennedy running 14th. How about this? You feel like the tensions are a little bit high in the first race of the chase. How about this under yellow earlier?
I get near that 02 again. Let him know that if he races me like that again, I'm going to put him so far up in that grandstand he won't even know what happened.
The chasers don't like it when those non-chasers are getting in their way and causing them problems. Right?
Well, we're hoping that may have been a little bit of an exaggeration by Ben, but we know what he's feeling anyway.
Yeah, you whether you're a chaser or not, you gotta feel like you were raced clean. You gotta be, like I said earlier, you don't want to race harder. You just want to race smarter. Make sure you make decisions that doesn't put one of your competitors in the mindset that he's going to crash you.
And at the same time, all drivers, especially the chasers, are cautious and conscious of who they're racing around. They don't want to make any enemies at this early stage either.
That's for sure.
Some of them don't want to make any more enemies, Vince.
Keeping an eye on that 33 of Kennedy, and John Hunter Nemechek runs just ahead of him. Here's one of the best battles on track, and it has been going for quite some time. Teammates out of the Thorsport camp, the 41 of Ben Rhodes and Matt Crafton right behind him. That's for 4th.
This is an illustration of how difficult and challenging it is to pass at this racetrack. Now, maybe Matt Crafton does not have a better truck right now than his teammate Ben Rhodes, but it's really hard when he's running your line. You may be a tenth and a half faster, Michael, but if he's running your line, it's hard to change your line and get by him.
Yeah, Crafton drove right up onto the tailgate of the 41 truck of Rhodes, and he just has sat there. So I think he's indeed much faster. He's looking for a break from his teammate right now. Give that spot up so he can continue his march toward the front.
Top of the screen are chase standings as they run. They're all chasing the 9 of William Byron. Matt Crafton, 3rd in the chase standings at this point. How about in the race? Hermie, what are they saying about that 88?
Battling with his teammate Ben Rhodes, as you guys mentioned, the issue with the 88, after each restart, a little bit too tight on exit, the more and more they run. So we'll see if that hurts him getting through some of this traffic, but that's the issue with the 88. Cannot get all the power down on exit.
Hermie, that's an interesting point because Matt Crafton is so smart with that chassis. He knows exactly what he's feeling, tells his crew chief, Junior Joyner, what he needs. Those adjustments could be what it takes to run down William Byron.
It's a relatively short race. You don't get too many opportunities or pit stops to make those kind of adjustments. William Byron continues to lead at New Hampshire. The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series Chase from New Hampshire Motor Speedway, the first ever chase race in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. The first round, 3 races. We'll pair our 8 championship contenders down to 6 after that 3rd race at Talladega and move on to round 2.
You know, William Byron.
Right now, I like this guy.
He's pretty
9.
good.
Oh, John Hunter Nemechek. Another one of our chase contenders with a problem.
All right, one more. All right, go if you can. Go, 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 go.
Nemechek was running 13.
Spawn did not hit anything.
Sound the alarm. Issues.
Got loose underneath of him.
Trying to pass another truck. We're hearing it might have been the 24 of Kaz Grala.
But again, it looks like that Nemechek was able to avoid contact, just lost control of that truck. Remember, we've already got one of our chasers in the garage. That's Daniel Hemrick. And now John Hunter Nemechek with an issue.
Going to lose a little there. He had already spinning. He was trying to get by that 24 blue truck of Kaz Grala. Let's ride along with John Hunter. See what we can see from this spin here.
07's going to be slow on the top. Exit 2, outside
Wow.
24.
Just drove in there really hard and couldn't get the truck.
Here in 2, spawn here in 2.
Couldn't get it turned well enough to keep the back end under it. Had to just get aggressive at the end to stay off of Grala.
Going to lose some track position, but not a lap. That's so important here.
Now we're going to come to pit road, right, Phil?
Absolutely.
Not just him, but all the leaders, the whole field.
Yeah, right now our top 12 trucks have not been to pit road yet. We've already completed 53 laps.
So that will reset the caution clock as well.
Does some of those guys that pitted earlier, like Ben Kennedy?
I mean, he has the option because he knows that we're going to only go about 40 more laps until we see the caution clock again, unless the caution comes out before that. So he can definitely make it to that next caution clock or the next caution with fuel. So that might be an opportunity for Ben Kennedy to stay out, get some track position. Maybe Joey Cohen might make that call and see how that truck does in clean air up front.
And maybe he brings along Cody Coughlin, Spencer Gallagher, some other trucks that might try that strategy. We got to mix it up. We talked about it. Try to pin William Byron back. He's as strong as we thought he was going to be.
Well, the pits are open, as you see, and almost everyone taking the opportunity to come work on their trucks, including that 41 of Ben Rhodes, who pits while running 4th, Caitlin.
Well, Vince, he's saying he's good on entry to center. I'm a little too tight from center to exit. They're not going to make any big adjustments for the track to come to them. They're going to do 4 tires, fuel, no adjustments for the 41, Hermie.
Christopher Bell hits his pit stall. His crew chief, Jerry Baxter, called for 2 tires, a little bit of strategy, trying to get track position. The 9 of William Byron, no changes on that truck. It's going to be 4 scuffed tires. He's down and away, but a couple 2-tire stops will put the 9 in traffic.
Well, you guys said it. Somebody's going to have to change up the strategy if they're going to beat that 9 of William Byron. He's that good. And it's coming from, among others, his teammate, Christopher Bell, who chooses to take on 2.
And Ben called by Ben Kennedy's bunch. No tires, fuel only.
A couple of chasers with issues early on. Fighting for the championship begins here in New Hampshire. Back in New Hampshire, Cody Coughlin and Christopher Bell in the front row for this restart. Coughlin, that 51, the only truck that stayed out during that caution. He wanted that track position. He got it. Let's see if he can keep it. Bell on the inside, challenging, and that's Matt Crafton in the bright yellow 88, making a run on Coughlin as well for 2nd.
You know, Matt Crafton is licking his chops, or close as he's been to the front. See if he can make the pass on the 51 of Coughlin. There's the 9 of William Byron.
Wow.
First truck right now that put 4 tires on that caution.
Coughlin had a great corner. He drove it down in hard on the outside of Matt Crafton and is going to keep that spot.
Byron may lose that spot to William Byron here.
William Byron on the move after taking on those 4 tires. He's had a dominating truck, led the first 54 laps of this race, but others during that pit stop took on 2 tires and gained track position. And there's the 00 of Cole Custer going around to bring out the yellow.
Get ready to put 4 tires on.
Is that a little bit of damage to the left front, Phil?
Kind of looked like it for a moment. He was running in the 16. Same situation as John Hunter Nemechek. He got loose underneath another truck trying to make the pass. See him right there trying to make the pass on. That's Johnny Sauter, the 21 truck.
And you can see that truck just bobble, and then it was out of control. Let's ride along with John Hunter Nemechek and watch what happens.
Inside tight. Inside tight, spin middle. And yellow is out.
Amazing job by those guys around him, not making any contact. And how lucky is Johnny Sauter, one of our chasers right there.
Yeah, John Hunter Nemechek with a close call there. Of course, Nemechek has won a couple of times and is championship eligible as well. So a couple of near misses for all of our chasers. And Custer will put 4 new tires on it and come back out ready to roll at New Hampshire.
Welcome back to New Hampshire Motor Speedway, where we're looking at the 00 team of Cole Custer. They ended up coming down pit road after that spin he had to put on 4 sticker tires. No damage for him. He apologized to his team. They said, just go ahead out there and catch those next 4 trucks in front of you, Vince.
Well, we'll see if Bell or Custer can make ground with those new tires and how long it takes him to get back up to that position. But right now, the battle is at the front on this restart. Christopher Bell on the outside, Cody Coughlin on the inside.
All 3 KBM teammates right now running 1, 2, 3.
And there's William Byron. Remember when Byron came to the pits on that previous caution, he took 4 tires, Bell took 2. Now they run 1, 2 with Bell in the lead, Byron chasing.
And if the 4 truck right now is able to run well with those 2 tires, that opens up the door for Rudy Fugle to put 2 tires on later to know he can get to track position back.
Yeah, you can't just assume because you've got the fastest truck you're going to win the race, because these other crew chiefs really pay close attention to how these 2 tires are performing. There's guys out there that have older tires than that. If they're able to keep pace, then they have options.
Cameron Haley in that 13 trying to make something work on the inside, down on the bottom of Spencer Gallagher, just inside the top 10 back there.
Saw Haley brush the left sides across the apron down below the yellow line, looking for a little bit of grip. May do it down here at this end as well.
Tight quarters all over the track.
Easy for those trucks to get really loose down on the bottom, the little flatter part of the racetrack when you try to get the power down.
Haley threatened to win that race last week at Chicagoland, but just missed. That was his chance to get in the chase, his final chance to get into the chase. But they believe they can win races in these final 7, as does that 29 team of Tyler Reddick, and Reddick is on the move as well, passing Gallagher for 8th.
We've had 3 different leaders so far, and all 3 of them are out of the KBM stables, and all 3 of them making their first Truck Series start here at Loudon.
Tight at the front, Christopher Bell in the 4 truck.
And then just behind Bell, that's William Byron, the dominant truck early. And a great run for Cody Coughlin, hanging in there in the 3rd position, able to hold off Matt Crafton.
A couple of KBMers up front, Hermie.
Got to give a call to Christopher Bell. I love the combination of Bell and veteran crew chief Jerry Baxter. Christopher had some comments to make about his teammate William Byron on the racetrack prior to pit stops.
I mean, I'm really good, but, you know, the 9's just in a league of his own. Yeah, 10-4. We just got to worry about ourselves at this point. We obviously can't run with him, but, I mean, we're going to be fine.
They decided to come down pit road, get 2 tires, get out front of the 9, and so far, he's able to hold him off.
I talked to Jerry Baxter this morning, and he said that they were one of the top 5 trucks in Lap Tracker, and echoed the sentiments of his driver, Christopher Bell. I don't think we're going to be able to run with the 9 truck, but we're good enough. If we can get the right track position late in this race, we can still win.
Well, we've been talking about it earlier on. You have to do something different. Jerry decided to do something different than Rudy that time. He put 2 tires on, and it's working for him. But again, Rudy has the option now with 4 fresh tires. He can put 2 tires on later on as William moves to the inside in a pass for the lead.
Bell got a little hung up by the lap truck of Tommy Joe Martins, and that's all that William Byron needed. Byron pounced and takes over the lead from his teammate Christopher Bell. Byron led the first 54, back in front again, and boy, as Christopher Bell said, you heard that radio communication, he's in a league of his own. We'll see if he can really stretch that advantage now on Bell.
And I have to believe he's going to. And knowing William Byron and Rudy Fugle, he's not really punishing that vehicle to do it.
Yeah, Bell caught the lap truck of Tommy Joe Martins. That slowed his momentum. Matt Crafton all the way off the racetrack down on the apron trying to pass the 44 truck of Martin's and continue his pursuit of Coughlin. He got a run on Cody the last lap, couldn't finish the pass, and now Cody in the 51 has stretched it out.
Remember, Coughlin stayed out during that yellow when all the leaders came to pit road, and so he's not on the tires from a freshness standpoint as the others, including Crafton, are on.
But he doesn't need to worry about fuel because he did stop on the previous caution back on lap number 27. So he's good on fuel. We know the caution clock will run out somewhere around 100 laps or 100 and a couple laps, and he has enough fuel to get there.
Tires about 27 laps difference from what Coughlin has to what Crafton has. How big of a difference does that make in regards to time?
Some of those were caution laps as well, too, so I don't think obviously that much difference. William Byron now has opened up over a second lead, but again, he's had the fastest truck here all day.
Keep an eye on these two. That's John Hunter Nemechek and Cole Custer. Remember, at Canada a few weeks back, Custer seemed poised to win and earn a spot in the chase, but John Hunter Nemechek roughed him up on the final couple of corners, and you got to believe somewhere along the line there's going to be some payback because John Hunter Nemechek went to the chase. Cole Custer did not.
Yeah, what happens in Canada is not going to stay in Canada, I'm afraid. We've got a lot of races to go through before we crown a champion, and Cole Custer feels like that he might owe John Hunter Nemechek one.
Yeah, it might not happen right now, or it might not even happen this race, but we're pretty certain it's going to happen, aren't we?
Well, one would think so anyway.
Still that battle for third between the 51 of Cody Coughlin and the 88 of Matt Crafton. Boy, it's taken a long time. Crafton having to work on Coughlin.
This could be Matt Crafton's recipe to win this championship. Just stay toward the front, be consistent, be steady, not get freaked out about how fast William Byron is. Just do his job and get to Miami and try to deal with Byron there.
To take on the big picture view of the chase, don't you? I mean, round by round. I mean, it's really a couple of mini chases and then a championship race.
Well, and I think your strategy's already changed somewhat with some trouble for one of our chase contenders. You know, you've got to take into consideration when people get in trouble and how that could affect you as you race forward. We certainly know Hemrick has found trouble. He's down in the 30th position. That's going to be a mighty big hole to overcome.
Well, you see the 00 of Cole Custer has gotten by that 8 of John Hunter Nemechek. Yeah, maybe Nemechek just said, yeah, I'm not going to take any chances here. I've made Custer angry enough. I'm going to just give him this spot.
And what do you think, Phil? How much does Cole Custer just think, maybe I'll just aggravate this guy? I'm not going to run into him, but I'm certainly going to make him think about it a lot.
Inside by himself.
Yeah,
Nothing out the back.
Remember, he has a few laps less on his tires than the rest of the guys. As we see Matt Crafton finally make the pass on Cody Coughlin. But hats off to Cody Coughlin for doing a nice job on a little bit older tires right now, holding down the 4th spot.
And Crafton, he earned that one. Coughlin made him work. And while Coughlin and Crafton were battling for that 3rd spot, Christopher Bell just ran away from 3rd. About a 3-second advantage.
Coughlin's made
3rd place.
8 series start with the best finish of 12th at Texas this spring. So this is by far his strongest run.
How about what's happening with that 33 of Ben Kennedy, Caitlin?
Well, Vince, Ben Kennedy qualified 12th for this race and really had not moved up at all on the leaderboard until after that last pit stop. This was one of the teams that elected to take fuel only on that stop, and it gained him a lot of track position. But the team also offering him work on your entry to turn 3. That is where you are getting beat.
That's Cameron Haley chasing down the 33 of Kennedy. Well, what a highlight to the season when Kennedy scored that win at Bristol earlier this year. Great win for that young man, and notched his position into the chase.
And that very truck right there.
Yep.
Cameron Haley knocked on the door last week, trying to make his way into the chase. Came up 1 spot short to Kyle Busch.
This is the battle for 5th.
2 spots short, excuse me.
Matt Crafton up ahead of these guys. He's driven away from Coughlin that he's battling with. Kennedy with some strategy, fuel only. got himself in the top 5 and has been able to remain there. I think that just goes to show you, you talked earlier, Phil, about how it's hard to pass. Once you get that track position, if your team can get you there, these drivers seem to be able to keep that spot on the track. Haley wants that position away from Kennedy.
Kennedy was 26th last week at Chicagoland, had some contact with his teammate Johnny Sauter and really kind of bruised his hand and struggled with that throughout the early part of the week, but saw him last night, said it's feeling much better, not hampering his performance at all.
He's doing a solid job here, running up in the top 5, trying to hold off a very determined Cameron Haley in that 13 truck.
Haley looking at the outside now, but there's the one of Jennifer Jo Cobbs, who can't get around from that manner. Now slingshots down underneath.
Oh, that's hard to do right there with that shallow angle into the turn and driving that far down into the corner. He did a nice job of not bumping into Kennedy.
Let's give a call to that 05 truck behind Cameron Haley, John West Townley. Remember, not one lap of practice in that truck until qualifying today. Matt DiBenedetto did a real nice job practicing that truck yesterday for John West. John West running the ARCA race last night in Kentucky.
And congratulations to Austin Cindric, who won that race last night, taking the victory in the ARCA series, and we've seen Austin over here in the truck series as well.
And we'll see him some more before the end of the year in a third Brad Keselowski truck.
Not quite halfway. The caution clock passed halfway on this run, under 10 minutes. William Byron has stretched out the lead to just over 3 seconds.
Saw for a glimpse of the 29 truck behind the 05 of Townley just a moment ago. That's Tyler Reddick moving in on that 05. There he is right there. Ben Rhodes, one of the trucks that was very fast here all weekend. Right now back in the 9th spot. There's Timothy Peters behind him about 4 or 5 truck lengths. Remember how good he was early in the race. Lost a little bit of track position. That's just hard to get back, Michael.
Haley's working over Ben Kennedy. It looks like that 13 truck has got the speed to deal with Ben, but Ben's doing a nice job of just driving his line and
just don't overcook it. Getting in there.
Ah, there it is. He got through the center. Maybe used a bit of that progressive banking on the low part to get that truck to turn by hooking the bottom with that left front tire. And now Townley's going to try to do the same thing. These trucks are starting to slip and slide around. This is our longest green flag run of the day. And when you get into that situation, the trucks are handling different, especially when you're trying to run side by side. Ben Kennedy looks like his older tires are starting to give up on him.
Well, we just put that in the memory bank. We know now that we probably don't want to have 25 laps more on our tires than anybody else. We'll get back. Well, caution clock's going to go off here in about 16 laps. We'll get in and put some more tires on.
It's our longest green flag stretch of the day. William Byron, a close battle with his teammate Christopher Bell to regain the advantage.
The chase. For years, Sprint Cup Series fans have been drawn to the annual story that unfolds before their eyes. And now it's here, in the Truck Series. 7 races, 8 drivers, the endurance, the quest for survival, pushing the limits every race, every corner, every second. Because in this sport, it only takes one of those seconds to change the course of someone's playoff. A chase to victory, to be the last one standing on that stage in Homestead. Drama, passion, defeat, victory. This is the chase.
You're watching NASCAR history, the first ever NASCAR Camping World Truck Series chase. This is race number 1, and William Byron is whooping him tonight. I mean, he is really putting it on him. He's led 78 of the 92 laps, and I don't think there's been any doubt about it. He has the fastest truck, and their strategy, well, they took 4 tires when a lot of others took 2 or none, and it really hasn't seemed to matter. Hermie.
Jerry Baxter is the crew chief for Christopher Bell. You guys took 2 tires on your first stop to get out front. It worked for a bit. What's your strategy on stop number 2?
Well, if we make it to the caution clock, that's 102. I'll probably put 4 on at that point and not come back, hopefully.
whatever they can do to try to beat that 9, Caitlin.
Herbie, Joey Cohen, the crew chief for Ben Kennedy, took fuel only on that last stop. What's Ben been saying on this run, and what changes do you plan to make on the next stop?
Yeah, the Jacob Company Chevrolet Silverado. We just need a track position basically to start there to try and figure out what we had for balance. Just still struggling with a little imbalance in the corners, a little free entry exit, a little tight in the center. But we got one more chance to work on it here, so we're just going to try and stabilize with our track position and go after it at the end.
Ben Kennedy already has one win this year from Bristol, looking for another one today. Vince?
Well, several teams looking forward to that caution clock if it happens to expire, to bring out the yellow, or whatever the case may be, for the yellow to come out, to come in and work on their trucks, improve on their trucks, and also slow down that 9 of William Byron, right?
Well, we're in a situation now when the caution clock comes out. Even if the caution were to come out right now, that puts these guys in a window to make it the rest of the way. They will have enough fuel. That's what it sounded like Jerry Baxter was planning on doing, putting 4 tires on his Ford truck and going the rest of the way. And I think it gives everybody that option of doing that, even though we know that we're going to get another caution flag before the end of this race.
But if you're Rudy Fugle and William Byron, you got to be ready for any kind of call that these other crew chiefs are going to make to try to take you down. Very rarely does a truck that is so dominant just have a cakewalk to victory lane. There's always twists in the plot and differing strategies that makes it interesting near the end.
Michael, at what point do these chasers say, you know what, William Byron's just got that powerful of a truck today, we got to make the best of what we've got and not try to do something crazy or out of the norm to really upset the apple cart as far as a result is concerned?
I think every one of those crew chiefs along pit road are the ones that are going to want to do something crazy and out of the norm, because they think that they can get a win here in New Hampshire, and that's what's the most important goal here. So I think you just go for it, Phil. I just don't think there's any reason not to try to stretch your fuel mileage. Like Baxter said, we're going to come in and not come back, or at least you just throw out some hints that you might do that when you have a plan to do something totally different.
And I think we watched enough to see Ben Kennedy's no tires on the last pit stop. It has him fading back to the 10th spot, so I don't think anyone is going to come in on this pit stop and put no tires on unless they automatically plan on coming back in with the next caution clock about 40 laps after we restart.
Well, we talked about maybe one of the issues for the leader could be lap traffic. Here's Byron trying to get around Ryan Truex in the 81. A little bit of an issue.
Looks like Byron's saying, pick a lane, Ryan. I'll go high, but I think I'd rather go low. You're just going to have to be patient when you got a truck this fast and as big of a lead. He's driven out to a 4.5-second lead. No sense in getting a hurry around the lap trucks as that caution clock continues to wind down.
Ryan Truex right now wants to stay in contact before the 9 can lap another lead lap truck. He knows the caution clock is going to come out within a couple laps, so he wants to be the free pass recipient.
Down under a minute for the caution clock. You see our leaderboard there at the top of the screen as they run on the track. Our Chase championship eligible drivers highlighted in yellow. Daniel Hemrick had problems from the very beginning. He's behind the wall in the garage area. 34 laps off the pace in 30th position, not the way he wanted his chase to start.
That's Stuart Friesen right in front of William Byron. I don't think William's going to have time to get to him, so he will stay on the lead lap, and that will give the free pass to Ryan Truex.
Ryan Truex is cheering for Friesen right now. He says, go, I need you to stay on the lead lap so we can work on this 81 truck, get a chance to rebound from a lap down.
Last week at Chicagoland, William Byron crashed out of that race. But no such issues today. Everything has gone smoothly. William Byron with the dominant machine. So as the caution clock expires and we get ready for pit stops, and in many instances going to be the last stop of the day for some of these guys.
Yeah, I think so. That's what Jerry Baxter, that's how he was talking. Cody Kaufman did a nice job there staying out on those older tires, maintained the 4th spot, although he was about 15 seconds behind William Byron. So I think that's an opportunity maybe to improve your position, but not contend.
Yeah, but that was the right call for that team. Really, really strong run on those older tires for Coughlin. That's the strongest we've seen him this season.
Ryan Truex in the 81 gets the free pass.
Is he out of fuel?
Boy, it must be.
That's
Cody.
only 75 left.
It's Cody Coughlin.
Only 75 laps. We talked about going maybe 80, 85 laps.
He was running 4th when the yellow came out.
Wow, what a tough train. He's going to need a push. He said, here comes the pace truck, going to pass him right now. All that good strategy is going to now leave him a lap down, guys.
Tough break. Great driving, great strategy. We thought, looked at about 80 laps as our fuel window, thought he could go further than that, and that was only 75 on that run. Maybe the tank just wasn't quite full from the pit stop.
And he had a few caution laps in there as well, so that's a little bit surprising.
So the pits are open, and here they come. It's going to be a parade down pit lane. Let's check in with Caitlin.
Well, for Ben Kennedy in that 33 truck, he's running a very similar setup today as what his teammate Johnny Sauter at GMS is running. Right now, he just told his team, I'm free off the throttle, tight off of 4 as well. They're going to make a spring rubber adjustment as well as 4 tires and fuel for the 33. Hermie.
Matt Crafton took 2 tires last stop. It'll be 4 tires this stop as well as the track bar adjustment. They are raising the right side track bar to roll the center better. We heard Jerry Baxter say that truck will take 4 tires of Christopher Bell. He is on the left side now getting that done. The 9 is also down and away. They took 2 right side tires.
Rudy wasn't going to give away track position again. A lot of trucks put 2 tires on.
Let's check in one more time with Hermie.
Hey guys, the 9 took 4 tires instead of 2. He had so much of a cushion coming down pit road from the truck behind him due to his lead on the racetrack. They were able to get 4 tires, no adjustments for the 9.
Well, what an advantage that is to have.
Great job, too, by his guys, too. It was so fast that we thought maybe he put 2 tires on.
Dominating in every facet. Kyle Busch Motorsports 9 team of Ryan. 1 to go until the restart at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Past the halfway mark. You see 68 laps to go in the first ever chase race for the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. Matt Crafton is running 3rd. Are they happy with the way things are going, Hermie?
They've made their way through traffic, but traffic has been an issue for the 88. But here is Matt Crafton talking to his crew chief, Junior Joyner, about some issues with his truck.
That brake pedal, it's so bad. Like it will not come up. I'm like halfway to the floor whenever I start pushing them. And that's when I get really, really loose in. If it's like halfway to the floor, because it feels like it's just more rear brake or something.
That's weird. We put a way bigger spring on it. I don't understand how it could even be doing that.
Loose in, free, tight through the center. They made a track bar adjustment, but the brake issue, we could hear about that later on today.
Yeah, Hermie, that usually doesn't get any better.
Speaking of brake issues, the 19 had all kind of issues, the brake included. Brakes situation, they are 34 laps down, but they have repaired that 19 truck, and he is back out on track as we are ready for the restart with the Kyle Busch Motorsport teams of Christopher Bell and William Byron out front. Byron on the inside to the point.
Great restart by William Byron. Looks like the 4 had to stumble just a little bit. That allows Reddick, the 29, to get underneath them.
Tyler Reddick to 2nd. Bell slots in 3rd, and Matt Crafton all over the back end of Christopher Bell.
Yeah, Christopher Bell does not want to lose that spot. Now is the time to make the move if you're going to. It gets harder as the tires get laps on them.
Wow, how about Timothy Peters shooting the gap on the inside, grabbing a spot.
Look at Cole Custer pushing Ben Rhodes by.
Remember, that's how Custer spun earlier, diving into turn 1. He's able to keep control of that truck. Wow, they're aggressive right there.
Timothy Peters in 7th in that red and white 17 truck. Now looking inside of another chaser in the 21 of Johnny Sauter.
Losing a position to the 21 of Johnny Sauter. Johnny now up to the 7th spot.
I wonder if Peters drove it in so hard trying to get those spots, ended up losing momentum and costing him some positions.
He did. Tyler Reddick doing a nice job on that restart to grab that 2nd spot, but already losing touch with our leader, William Byron.
Yeah, we talked about Reddick being fast enough to what we thought would be a part of our chase. He's proven it again, running the 2nd spot. Matt Crafton back and forth, trying to chase down Christopher Bell and make contact with a guy he hasn't seen yet today, except for on a restart, and that's William Byron. I think Crafton thinks if he could get 2-second, maybe he could keep pace with that 9 truck.
But if he's still fighting those brake issues, it may be really tough for him. You use a lot of brake at this racetrack, even with these big cab trucks. And if he right now his brakes are fading and it feels like he only has rear brakes, that will really make that truck loose getting down in the corner when you use the brakes.
Not many have had much of a good look at William Byron today, because once that green flag drops, he goes and starts separating himself from the field. There's that lead over a 1.5 seconds of Reddick.
You know, you just have to ask, why is William Byron so much faster than everybody else?
Okay, why is William Byron so much faster than everybody else?
I was asking. I think it's because of chemistry. I think it's a combination of he and Rudy Fugel, the way they work together. Obviously, Cowbush Motorsports, that whole team has the best equipment on the racetrack, but when you put the best equipment with a talented young racer like William Byron, and then your crew chief just finishes your sentences for you and you're on the same page, that is how you gain such a huge advantage, and this team has been that way all year long.
And I came into this week hoping that mistake that they made last week at Chicago did not haunt them. Talked to William yesterday when we got here. I said, hey, I know I made a mistake as we watched Matt Crafton try to take over the 3rd spot from Christopher Bell. We want to put it behind us. All the guys were upbeat down in the hauler and in the garage area, and they're showing.
I think they used that mistake at Chicago to make them better. I think everybody said, that's amazing you haven't made a mistake all year long, basically. That one, you know why it happened. It's going to make you better when you get in that position later in the season. That was a real, got a spin by the 16 of Friesen. I think that was a real important moment for the young man, William Byron, being able to overcome that mistake.
So Friesen's spin brings out the yellow. Caution for the 7th time today.
What that means is when we restart this race, we will not see another caution clock. We turn it off with 20 laps to go. We're going to restart this race somewhere around lap 120. That would put us to 160. Caution clock is out of play the rest of the race.
Friesen was on the lead lap in the 18th position, doing a nice job in that 16 truck.
Looked like he was down on the bottom trying to get by a lap truck and just lost a little bit of grip. Stayed on the lead lap though.
Running 18th at the time. The 98 of Rico Abreu gets the free pass.
Nice break for Rico.
I think right now, unless you're towards the back of the lead lap trucks, let's stay out here. We want to keep what track position we have.
Abreu, after this race, will jump on Tony Stewart's plane. They'll head to Eldora for the 4 Crown going on tonight at Eldora. Got a great crowd on hand for that one as well.
The pits are open and not many takers, guys.
Well, unless you've really got an issue you need to address, and we see a couple of them that are going to take the opportunity, but the track position is just so important to give up at this stage.
Looks like Spencer Gallagher and Rico Abreu with nothing to lose because he's the free pass. He has to restart to the tail end anyway.
Another lead lap truck, Friesen, who just spun and brought out this caution, probably flat spotted those Goodyear tires, and will change those.
Timothy Peters is running 8th. Hermie?
We saw him on the last restart try to gain a position, ended up losing several positions. A couple issues for the 17. Not only they took 2 right side tires only on that last pit stop, but they also restarted on the bottom, and he and his crew chief Shane Huffman have discussed the possibility that hopefully starting on the outside, starting P8 on this restart will be better for them, but the 17 is on 2 tires.
Well, and whether you restart on the inside lane or the outside lane, depending on what track you're at, but that can make all the difference in the world.
It certainly can, and it may have something to do with which lane William Byron picks as well, because he obviously is the guy, the control truck. He's the one that dictates this restart.
Yeah, and he's been picking the bottom. He picked the bottom again that last time. I'm kind of surprised. Traditionally, you want to be on that outside, but when you have a fast truck, if you restart on the outside field, you open the door. You give a guy on the inside a chance to go in the corner, overshoot it, and slide up into you, knock you out of the way. If you're fast and you get a great restart on the bottom, you pretty much control your own destiny.
And remember, he had his teammate on his outside that last restart. He's going to choose the outside this time and has Tyler Reddick down to his inside.
This has been all over the place with the lane choices that Byron has made. Interesting.
See some of the dominance that's been displayed here from previous New Hampshire winners, and William Byron doing the same here today. Led over 100 laps.
certainly clinched the point for leading the most laps.
Well, this is round one of the chase, race number one of round one here at New Hampshire. Next week, we'll go to Las Vegas in a completely different track, the 1.5 miles, and then Talladega, the final race of the first round.
They keep getting bigger, Phil. They're getting easier, right? That's the deal. You know, you got more room. You can't get in trouble when you get to Talladega for sure. Obviously, that's not the case. We have big packs going 200 miles an hour.
And with Daniel Hemrick right now with his trouble, he looks at those two races. I have to win one of those.
Ready to restart. Green flag in the air. William Byron and Tyler Reddick on the front row.
William has his teammate Christopher Bell right behind him. Oh, he gets down in the corner hard, doesn't he, with that 9 truck.
Reddick makes it happen. Takes second from Bell. And now Matt Crafton coming up to challenge Christopher Bell for third.
Christopher doing just a little bit of blocking.
Well, just a gaggle of trucks there behind Crafton as well, with Cole Custer, Ben Rhodes, Timothy Peters. Well, the restart bunches them up and always provides some 2, 3, sometimes 4 wide on the front or back stretch.
I saw Ben Kennedy left side of your screen, that 33 truck. He was 3 wide over in turn 4, and he was all the way down below the yellow line.
Man, we thought Johnny Sauter would have a stronger run than he's having. He's not been able to overcome getting stuck back outside of the top 10 after our first pit stops, and he rides along the 11th position on the inside of Moffitt. He takes that spot away. They are battling back there in the pack. Look at the crossover by Moffitt trying to get back to the inside of Sauter.
Yeah, Johnny was desperate to grab that spot away from Moffitt. Looks like he has it now. Looks like Brett's giving him a bit of a break.
Well, especially for these chasers, every position matters. Every point matters, because you never know what might be just 1 point that determines whether or not you move on to the next round.
And didn't Jamie McMurray lose out going to the next round last year because they were tied? And they got a tiebreaker is what kept it from transferring on to the next round?
That could happen right here in the truck series as well, and these guys know it, so they're going to battle hard.
The 05 of John West Townley, the 33 of Ben Kennedy back there just outside the top 10. You see our chase standings, our point standings at the top of the screen as they run.
Big hole for Daniel Hemrick, but everybody else is in contention and in touch with each other to be one of our top 6 trucks.
How about the 8 truck right here, John Hunter Nemechek? He's moving under the 13 of Cameron Haley. That is for the 8th spot. That's as far up towards the front as John Hunter's been this entire race.
You see those chase standings at the top of the screen, and as we see that battle for second and Christopher Bell trying to get it away from Tyler Reddick, the chase standings at the top, those are to the 6th position. So the top 6 will advance to round 2. So right now Kennedy 3 points as they run away from, if the chase round 1 ended today, moving on to the second round.
And you saw Christopher Bell's point total change because he made that pass on Reddick for the 2nd spot. Crafton just did as well. Now that moves him ahead of Christopher Bell because of that 1 position.
Crafton hasn't been completely pleased with the handling of that truck today, that brand new truck that they brought here from the Thor Sport camp. They were very excited about bringing it. Been waiting to unveil that machine here this weekend, and he has had speed, quite had the balance that he's been looking for throughout the course of the race today.
Cameron Haley in the 13 truck comes to pit road. Issues for that team.
Yeah, definitely an unscheduled pit stop for Haley. Herman, what's going on with that 13 truck?
They don't really know. Cameron Haley had come on the radio about the last 3 or 4 laps and said something is broke. I hear something clanking around in the backside of this truck. So they finally brought him down to pit road. Now they're going under the hood and see what they can find, but tough break for the 13.
Indeed, he was running just outside the top 10 at the time.
You talked about Matt Crafton, Vince liking this new truck of his and the issues with maybe slight handling problems. That brake issue, you can't get over that as well. If you try to get in the corner a little bit stronger, you're afraid you might lock up those rear tires and will hop into the wall. You can't take that chance. And Matt, the experienced veteran he is, he's just getting all he can out of that truck and doing a nice job. He's faster than Bell the last couple of laps.
Gained a couple tenths of a second each of the last couple laps on Bell.
grabs this spot and see if maybe he can run down our leader. No one else has been able to today.
You might be able to see him in the same straightaway if he can get by the 4 of Christopher Bell.
That's the battle for second. Christopher Bell and the black and blue Ford truck at Crafton in the 88. Bell, a rookie, won earlier this season at Gateway. Matt Crafton, back-to-back wins at Dover and Charlotte. Austin Wayne Self into the wall. Going to bring out the caution. Heavy damage to the right side of that truck. Self was running 19th, just inside the top 20, and that, as you said, Phil, going to set up another restart and give somebody else maybe an opportunity to make a move on William Byron.
Just think about Crafton. He starts to make ground. He starts to
going into one all up under the truck.
Maybe something broke on them underneath that truck. What did the spotter say?
I think it blew up all underneath it or something, but
oh.
They sure spun around quick, and it didn't look like he'd gone in a corner any harder than that other truck that he had caught.
Heavy contact.
Yeah, look at the smoke. Yeah,
See the
fluid on the outside of the racetrack. Nothing Austin Wayne Self could do about that.
Keep rolling here. Keep rolling bottom.
Yeah, I happened to catch out of my periphery of the truck of Daniel Hemrick dive to the bottom real early. He saw that smoke and reacted to it, but there was nothing, like you said, Phil, that Austin Wayne Self could do.
Well, the 13 is back out on track after that unscheduled stop. What's the latest there, Hermie?
Yeah, Vince Cameron Haley was having a difficult time diagnosing the problem and getting information to his crew, but once they put the right side tires on, they realized that the right front wheel was loose. So all those issues and noises on the 13 were related to a loose right front wheel on the 13.
Yeah, it just takes him out of contention totally. Now he finds himself 2 laps down with that green flag pit stop. And right now we've got Ben Kennedy, one of our chasers, running 13th. We only have 18 trucks on the lead lap. I believe if I was that team, I would come to pit road, try to maybe make another adjustment, maybe put tires on again here. We've only got 46 laps to go. We'll have 45 as they come around this time.
Yeah, Phil, because we saw how tight the points are. Just a couple of points separate our 6th and 7th trucks. So maybe roll the dice here and try to gain an advantage.
Pits are open, but going to be few takers. Comes Haley back on.
No, that's
Ben Rhodes. Ben Rhodes, yeah, on the 41 coming to pit road. Haley's teammate at Thor Sport.
Well, the 41 truck of Ben Rhodes electing to come down pit road in the last minute. Looks like they're going to make a 4-tire stop for him. Ben, one of the guys who's looking to spoil the chase party, told me that was his goal. He's down and away.
There's the call we were looking for, Phil. We thought maybe it would come from one of our chasers like Ben Kennedy back there in the 13th spot. Maybe try to make a call that could gain him some positions in that Jacobs Company's truck, but they decided to stay on the track, and Rhodes rolls the dice.
And I know we can't say that we won't get another caution flag because we've certainly had enough of them today, but if I was Ben Kennedy and Joey Cohen, I would worry that we might not get another caution, and I would love to have a little bit fresher tires than everybody else does, just like Ben Rhodes does right now.
45 to go at New Hampshire.
Copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.
The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series Chase, the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Take a look at our Ford facts. Got a Ford running in the top 5 with Tyler Reddick. Maybe he could add his name to the list of Ford winners here at New Hampshire. Some pretty good wheelmen on that list.
Yeah, that was Kurt's rookie season back in 2000. Went to Victor Lane. Rick Crawford won the very first race we had at Daytona on Speed Channel, which was what FS1 was formerly known as.
By what? A foot?
Maybe, but over third.
Yeah.
I think he was a foot over third.
And the 6 inches over
Yes,
second.
yes.
They were 3 wide at the start-finish line. What a great day that was.
Well, hard to beat the day we've had here today as you look at the blue skies and a little bit of a cloud cover, but it is just an absolutely beautiful day here in the New England area, and just glad to be here for Chase race number 1. Caitlin.
Well, things are pretty good so far in the 29 camp. Him telling his team, Tyler Reddick said, I'm still a little free on the get-go. I won't be able to roll the center. I'm having trouble letting off sooner, getting into the corner as well. But his team, very optimistic that he can maybe get a win here today.
We still got a chance here. They can all wreck, or, you know, we could just blow by on the restart, one or the other. Oh, yeah, you got the outside lane here ready to run.
Here, Tyler Reddick and his crew chief, Doug Randolph, very optimistic. If they can get it done here today, it would be his first win of the 2016 season. Vince?
The 22 of Austin Wayne Self brought out this yellow because of that hard contact has been released from the care center, so that's good news. Hey, next Saturday, NASCAR Camping World Truck Series racing heads to Las Vegas. Catch all the action 8 o'clock Eastern on FS1, or as always, you can watch it live on Fox Sports Go. Can't wait to get to Vegas next week.
Yeah, let's catch a 1.5 mile racetrack out there in Las Vegas for our second race of the chase.
Everybody's agenda will be a little bit different after the results that we're going to have today. Maybe a roll of the dice and see what happens at Vegas. Ready to go green. KBM teammates William Byron and Christopher Bell lead us to green.
So important for Matt Crafton to get a good restart here.
Doesn't want to give up that third spot to Reddick. Can he pull alongside and pass Bell? He was stronger than Christopher in the long run, but that doesn't really mean anything on these short sprints. He squeezes up in line for third.
Reddick in fourth.
Look like Crafton's brakes were okay because they had to use them getting down in turn number 3.
Timothy Peters right there in the top 5, another chaser. 4 chasers in the top 5. And how about running 6th, the 00 of Cole Custer? Back on lap 59, he spun and fortunately didn't make any contact. Kane put new tires on and bam, he's right back up inside the top 10.
Real impressive. Look right behind him and that blue number 24, Kaz Gralla, 17-year-old from about an hour away here in Massachusetts.
And every time he runs on this, every time he runs this 24 truck, he puts it in the top 10. He's got good speed. Couple of top 10 finishes. See what he can finish up today.
Inside of 40 laps remaining, and it doesn't take long to click off 40 here on the mile. William Byron continues to lead and everybody chasing, hoping to catch a break. Maybe Byron runs into some trouble. It has been clean so far for the 9 machine.
KBM looking really strong here with 1-2. Cody Coughlin had a great run going till he ran out of fuel just as the caution came out earlier.
See at the top of our screen the leaders as they run on the track. Of course, those drivers that are in the chase highlighted in yellow. John Hunter Nemechek had a spin, avoided some disaster earlier today as well.
Yeah, he's rebounded nicely, just like Cole Custer. For Custer, it's just go out and win. For John Hunter Nemechek, when you have a spin like that, you find yourself looking at a deficit and making it to the next round of our chase. It's definitely a different dynamic when you have problems.
Yeah, we have 35 laps to go. We know that everyone has enough fuel to get to the end. It's about maximizing the points for John Hunter Nemechek.
And this position here, Johnny Sauter needs to pass John Hunter Nemechek. He wants that point away from him, knowing how important it could be as we get to Talladega.
And remember, the 41 of Ben Rhodes came in 26 laps later than everybody he's racing around, so he's got a little bit fresher tires, guys.
And he's driven around Ben Kennedy. We talked about whether Ben should come to pit road or not. You can see Ben in the white truck just behind this battle between Sauter and Rhodes. Maybe a pit stop might have worked for that team.
Rhodes taking a look inside of Sauter. That's 9th, 10th, and 11th. Nemechek 9th, Sauter 10th, Rhodes 11th, and that's Ben Kennedy there in 12th.
And a little bit loose off of 4 that time. Came awfully close to that safer barrier on exit.
Under 35 to go at New Hampshire.
When you make contact with that safer barrier, Phil, it certainly absorbs the impact for the driver, but it could end your day. Bounce off of it exiting turn 4. You got to avoid that wall. And look how close it is right there.
How sideways Johnny got.
Until maybe if the 41 got into the back end of him a little bit, or just Sauter just wiggled, but whatever it is, it opened the door for Rhodes to go past Sauter.
Watch how those trucks bounce down into the corner. I can't believe we haven't had contact yet with them trying to wrestle these things as they hit the bumps entering.
Johnny with the crossover coming right back inside of Ben Rhodes.
There's no give up in Johnny Sauter, that's for sure. But right now, he's racing a truck that has a few more laps on him than that 41 truck does on the tires.
A lap ago, look at these two. Whoa. Got out from underneath Sauter. I thought maybe that Rhodes had gotten into him just a little bit, but I don't know if that was the case or not. I think Johnny just got loose coming off the corner there.
I thought he was coming into the booth up here, sideways sliding toward us.
Now Kennedy has his sights set on Sauter and a chase point. A couple of chasers.
Stuart Friesen right there behind Ben Kennedy, doing a real nice job here.
Awesome job.
Yeah, stayed on the lead lap. Right now chasing down Ben Kennedy, one of our chasers.
Another one, Friesen, who has recovered from a spin today.
Sauter looks like he's going to be able to maintain an advantage over Kennedy when anytime you get past like Sauter did by Ben Rhodes, it throws off your rhythm. It also, you know, keeps you from gaining momentum off the turn, and you're vulnerable to the truck behind you directly after a pass. If you're able to stabilize and hold your position, then you can rally and drive away.
Well, that young man right there has been driving away all day long. William Byron at New Hampshire. Coming to 25 to go here at New Hampshire, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, but plenty of racing left this weekend. The Xfinity Series at Kentucky Motor Speedway. You'll see that one tonight with our friends at NBCSN. And then NASCAR Race Day here on FS1 tomorrow morning. Get you ready for the Cup race tomorrow here from Loudon. Our friends at NBC have that one as well.
Great little Saturday crowd here at New Hampshire.
Triple header, really, with all the Cup practice. We've got this Truck Series race and a couple more races. The Modifieds are going to be here, as well as the ACT Series. So a lot of racing up here at New Hampshire.
Rhodes got past John Hunter Nemechek. Inside the top 10. Getting a report that maybe there's a little bit of smoke coming from that 8. Be a tire rub. Did he get together with the 41?
Oh, that's so close. Yeah, squeezed him
a little bit. Like John Hunter was about as close up to the wall as he could stand to be there.
Oh,
that sort of defines truck racing, doesn't it? Excuse me.
Coming through.
Drive by himself. Drive by himself, up and out the back.
You could hear John Hunter spin his tires a little bit off that corner.
A little bit of door banging for position as Rhodes moves to 9th. Keep an eye on that 8 machine of John Hunter Nemechek, and hopefully if there was a little fender rub, it doesn't turn into something worse. One of our chasers. And they'll afford to have his day go wrong at this late stage.
Gotta like that call Bellecourt made on 41 to come and get those tires and see if you could just make something happen. The crew chief Kevin Bellecourt's making a great call to gain some momentum.
He was running 7th when that caution came out, and he probably said, we're not moving forward. We might as well try something to see, you know, if we can move forward from 7th.
William Byron continues to lead, just under a second and a half. He has dominated today, led almost 140 laps. In fact, it is 140 now as he crosses the line.
And you know, you just wonder if maybe Phil, if he just starts to maybe save a little bit of something in case there's a green, white checker, a late caution, so that he has some tires left and is able to hold off Christopher Bell and Matt Crafton, because he hasn't driven away to the 4 or 5 second lead that he's done earlier in the race. And in fact, the last few laps, Crafton's been the fastest truck on the track, that time by 0.2 of a second. So maybe Williams, with the direction of Rudy Fugle, which thinks of every aspect of this whole game, I believe, maybe he's pulling the reins back on our leader.
Camping World 20 to go. The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series Chase race number 1. 20 laps to go for William Byron. And Ellen, if you're Kyle Busch, the reigning Sprint Cup Series champion, you got to be feeling pretty good as you watch this one and you see your guys running 1-2.
Well, it's been like this all year. I mean, we felt like William Byron had a lot of potential, and we felt like he was going to get to victory lane, but we didn't realize it was going to come as soon and as often as it has. And talking about this race, he's been flawless. He's led 142 of the 150 some laps right now, and has not made the slightest bit of a mistake.
But I tell you, Vince, as a former car owner, running 1-2 is great, but it's just, he's nervous as he's ever been. He knows he has a performance, but closing the deal is what it's all about. And if the caution comes out late, which it so often does in these NASCAR races, he knows a restart can put all this success into the wall.
Byron continues to click off the laps with his teammate Christopher Bell second, Matt Crafton third. Chasers have 4 of the top 5 spots. Timothy Peters running 5th. That 29 truck is the lone non-chaser in the top 5. That's Tyler Reddick. How about the trucks in the GMS stable? A couple of our chasers, Johnny Sauter and Ben Kennedy. Caitlin?
Well, Vince, they're currently running together 11th and 12th, and we know that they also have similar setups in both of their trucks. Johnny Sauter told me he really likes coming to New Hampshire, even though he's never won here. He's finished in the top 10 in all 5 of his starts, but right now he says, I'm tight in the middle, loose on entry and exit. Ben Kennedy, his teammate, contrary to Johnny Sauter, he says, I've never really enjoyed coming to New Hampshire. It hasn't been a good racetrack for me, but he said, I have leaned on Carl Edwards, the pole sitter for the Cup race tomorrow, for some insight on this racetrack. But right now, he's saying he's a little bit snug. Those 2 guys, with the exception of Hemrick, are the lowest chasers on the leaderboard right now. Hermie.
Well, Caitlin, the 9 of William Byron, we've talked about how dominant he's been today. Right now he's working lap traffic. He did tell his crew chief Rudy Fugle 3 laps ago that the truck was a little bit tighter than it had been in previous runs. The only thing they did, cut the right rear fan off to allow that right rear tire to maybe gain a little bit more air pressure, but certainly been smooth sailing for the 9 all day long.
Well, smooth sailing right now as we have 15 to go, but in 5 of the last 6 races here at New Hampshire, we've had a caution in the last 10 laps. That's the last thing William Byron wants to see right now, isn't it?
Yeah, and if we have 1 caution, I got to believe we'll have more than that with one of these crazy restarts late in this thing.
You know, we talked earlier about how they stack up on the restarts. They need to be calm and patient. Done. No more calm, no more patience. You got to stick your nose anywhere you get an opportunity, and that can cause problems.
Good battle right here for the 4th spot. Reddick, the 29, has it. That's Timothy Peters, the 17, and Cole Custer, the 00, 6th and 7th. Excuse me, 5th and 6th.
The 41 of Ben Rhodes and the 11 of Brett Moffitt. Well, Rhodes, since he came and got those tires, he's been on the move, but now 9th, and Moffitt has been strong today as well, just outside the top 5, been running between that kind of 5th and 10th spot most of the day.
Yeah, Ben hasn't been able to get back to where he was when he came down pit road, but I still think it was a great call by Kevin Bellacourt to try it. Say, let's try something. We're running 7th. We're not moving forward. Let's see if we can make something happen. And if we were to get a caution, he would have fresher tires than these guys, and he would have a great opportunity on the restart to gain some spots.
How about for the 19 of Daniel Hemrick? He's the only one of the chasers outside the top 12. He had the problems from the very early part of the day, and you see now going back to the garage, spent so much time in the garage, 35 laps off the pace. What kind of blow is this to that group?
It's a huge blow. I think they're in the mindset we have to go to Las Vegas or Talladega and win the race, period.
And we know he's capable of it.
So absolutely.
You've got at least you know your plan now. You can't points race. You can't think that there's any way to get in other than winning.
Still continuing to watch that battle. Cole Custer.
What a great move.
Dodged the 63.
Talks about how tough it is to get off the turns and lose your momentum. He had some momentum and decided he was going to try to crank it to the bottom and get around Timothy Peters. Didn't work. A for effort, though.
4th, 5th, and 6th. The one chaser in that group is the 17 of Timothy Peters. 10 laps to go. Chase race number 1.
Timothy Peters would love to get this one more spot, one more point before the end of this thing.
And he is all over the back of Reddick. Faster through the center of the corner, but just can't get to the bottom. And you're right, Phil. He knows that that one position, that one solid, could mean every very point, could mean the difference between moving on to round 2 and not. You got to race every lap like that. That's what makes the chase so special. Can't take anything for granted.
Peters came into the chase as that 8th seed. He was on the bubble. Had to endure that nerve-wracking experience in the final regular season race at Chicagoland last week. Made it into the chase, and they really like their chances coming into today. Really happy with their truck, and right now trying to get that spot and protect it inside the top 5.
You know, it's amazing. We went to Chicago last week, and there were 6 guys that were resting easy. They knew they were locked in the chase. Actually, probably Daniel Hemrick also. So we had 7 guys that were resting comfortably. Right now, after this race, we're going to have one guy, probably William Byron, that's going to be comfortable, and the rest of the guys are going to be on nerves for the next week or 2.
Late stages of chase race number 1. Remember, we go to Las Vegas next week, and then the final race in round 1 of the Truck Series chase will be at Las Vegas, or excuse me, at Talladega on the 22nd of October.
And not only is it bad enough that they're going to be losing sleep, they have to wait a couple weeks after Las Vegas before we go to Talladega.
And I tell you, Phil, from experience, they'll stare at the point standings, those 8 guys.
I'll try to get them to change.
And just say, okay, well, if I keep looking at it, will I gain a spot or 2? Because I know how important that could be.
This Brett Moffitt and Ben Rhodes on the right-hand side of your screen. That's the battle for 8th. Meanwhile, on the left-hand side, Tyler Reddick and Timothy Peters for 5th, with Cole Custer keeping his nose in it.
And William Byron just logging laps, thinking the only word he doesn't want to hear is caution. He's got this in the bag if the caution flag doesn't fall.
5 laps to go here at New Hampshire. Peters continues to work on Reddick. There's certain parts of the corner that Peters looks to be better, but just not enough to actually make the pass.
This is an illustration of the fact that it's pretty challenging and difficult to pass here at this racetrack, even though right now Timothy Peters may have a little bit better truck than Tyler Reddick. But it sure provides some great racing here at this racetrack.
Oh, it's fun to watch these guys work each other over, trying to figure out how to get to the inside and how to wedge their way past.
There's your leader, William Byron, with just 4 laps remaining. Disaster, all that would keep him from finishing the job here today. It has been a flawless performance from Byron and company. They've led 157 of the 171 laps today so far.
Comfortably by the 07, Matt Mills. A lot of heavy traffic in front of him here, though.
Yeah, and look how
3 to go.
Close Christopher Bell's gotten. He's got it under a second. We haven't seen anyone this close to William Byron after some green flag runs all day long. Bell's really making it interesting here late.
Has a group of 5 trucks right in front of them, about 20 truck lengths, and Christopher Bell is coming.
Let's call it just 5 truck lengths back to the 2nd place truck. Where'd he come from? Wow, what a rally late.
Bell on the move, pressuring his teammate William Byron. 2 laps to go at New Hampshire, chase race number 1.
I think they're going to catch these trucks right here. Certainly the 66 of Jordan Anderson. Jordan stays up the racetrack. Williams going to be able to go by on the bottom.
But when you pass a truck off the corner like that to the bottom, it really hurts your momentum. And you can see Bell takes advantage of that. Another truck length or 2 gone from that lead.
It's the smallest the lead has been for almost the entire day, under 0.4 of a second. Coming to the white flag for William Byron, but he's getting pressure from his teammate Christopher Bell.
He has a fast truck in front of him. That's Cameron Haley. I don't think Cameron will hold William back too much here. But Bell is certainly right there within 2 or 3 truck lengths.
Bell closing. Can Byron hold off? as they roll into turn 3. William Byron through 4. He's going to do it. The first chase race ever in the Truck Series belongs to William Byron.
Good job. 1-2, back her down, back her down.
And the caution is out as Ben Rhodes has made contact with the 11 of Brett Moffitt. The 41 and the 11 getting together down in the turn 1 end.
They were racing for 9th position.
A lot of damage to the rear end of that 41 truck. It's unfortunate because those two, Moffitt and Rhodes, both have been having an excellent day today inside the top 10.
That's going to give an extra point to 3 of our chasers. Nemechek, Sauter, and Kennedy all got by Ben Rhodes with that contact.
William Byron in a dominating performance, his 6th win of the season. Hermes with his crew chief.
Yeah, what a dominating performance by your team. You knew you were good in practice, but did you think last night that you had this type of a dominating truck today?
No, there was 4 or 5 good trucks. You know, we were really, really good, but man, he did a good job driving that thing today, and always got away. A lot of tough restarts, but KBM, we're strong. Toyota couldn't do without all them people, and what a way to start the chase. This is we're going for another championship. It's time to go.
9 truck is going to victory lane.
The 6 wins by a rookie, the most in the National Series.
Awesome job, boys. Awesome. Great focus all weekend. Feels good.
Indeed it does. The 18-year-old is going to get out and grab that checkered flag. Not only does he get to celebrate this win, but he knows this guarantees him to move to the next round of the chase.
He can breathe for weeks now before we go to that 2nd round. Now he has to worry about exams and homework and stuff like that.
A student at Liberty University. He's a freshman. Talking to him a little bit last night about some of his classes, but you could tell that the one focus, he was singularly focused, and that was on that race today. And
that Loudon class,
he went out and took care of business.
See what happened to Ben Rhodes racing alongside Brett Moffitt. Wow. Really close on entry. Moffitt gets loose on the bottom, and around goes Rhodes.
That's really too bad. Ben Rhodes had a good day today. The runner-up, also out of the Kyle Busch Motorsports camp, is Christopher Bell. Caitlin?
Well, Vince, he earned his 8th top 5 so far this season. Getting 2nd here today, do you think a couple more laps you could have caught your teammate?
I don't know. That's really tough to say. He was obviously dominant all day long, and I was pretty impressed that we were able to get to him there. He was in heavy lap traffic, and that was slowing him up and let me get there. But if we had a couple more, maybe I would have had a shot at him. But just really thankful for all the guys on this KBM Sirius XM Toyota number 4 team, man. They worked really hard, and just really thankful to be here. And everyone at the KBM and all the KBM chassis guys, they work so hard, and I'm really thankful just to have our partnership with JBL too.
Thank you. Christopher Bell earns a 2nd place here at New Hampshire. Vince?
Well, a great day for the KBM group, 1-2. And Cody Coughlin had a good run throughout much of the race today as well. Finished 20th, as you see Coughlin climbing out, but no shame in the kind of afternoon that he had.
Just think about Kyle Busch now. He's breathing regularly, and he's very happy. What a great day for that team.
3rd place was Matt Crafton.
Yeah, Vince, he also earned a top 5. How do you feel like this run here today just set up your chase, a decent run for your first race of the chase?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, Bernard Soda Tundra was decent. We just weren't as good as we were yesterday. Just lacked a little bit of turn in the middle of the corner and off the corner. We were decent at the middle of a run and could hold our own, and then at the end of the run, those 2 in front of us were just really, really good at the end of the run, and we had those long green flag runs right there at the end. But nothing to hang our head about. We'll go on to Las Vegas and get us one there.
Thank you. Matt Crafton earns his 6th top 5 today. Now let's go to victory lane with Hermie.
Well, William Byron parks it in victory lane in New Hampshire to start this chase. 5 years in the regular season, 5 wins this regular season, but the question would be, how would this team react to the pressure of the chase? And they answered those questions today in dominating fashion. He gets the victory. William, I don't know what to say or where to start. What a dominating performance by your race team. Congratulations.
Yeah, we
we got redemption from last week. I just can't thank these KBM guys enough. Everybody on this Liberty University Tundra has done a great job all season, and to get a win now when it counts in the chase feels so good. And I was so down on myself last week making that mistake. So to come back and get this win is really, really good for our team.
How about your mindset now? You have a victory, but still 2 more races in this first round. How do you navigate those next 2?
Well, we just try and win. I mean, we just go out there and compete like we don't have a win. So that's our objective, and we want to keep the momentum going throughout this chase so we can make it a homestead. That's the ultimate goal.
That's William Byron dominating victory here in New Hampshire.
Well, as we look at our chase standings after today, William Byron with that victory, of course, advances to round 2. But the one driver that really took a big hit today was Daniel Hemrick.
Yeah, he knows what he has to do now. He has to go to Las Vegas to Talladega and go to victory lane. And even Matt Crafton right now, that's 11 points to the good, can't really rest easy. He had a great run today, but he's got 2 more races, and he could find himself like Daniel Hemrick with some issues.
We're probably going to see one guy of these 8 have an issue at every race we go to. So you've got to maximize when you don't have a problem, and then you got to overcome it when you do.
Byron with that victory automatically moves into the round of 6. Who's going to join him? He's going to have a little company. 5 others will eventually make it, but we've got to go to Las Vegas next week on the 1.5 mile and then deal with Talladega in the final race of round 1.
William's been pretty good on the 1.5 miles this year, so you know he's licking his chops, getting ready to go to Las Vegas.
Wouldn't be a surprise if William Byron won more than 1 race in round 1.
That's exactly right.
Next week, we'll have qualifying from Las Vegas, 6 o'clock on Saturday, 6 o'clock Eastern, followed by the setup show coming your way at 8 p.m. Eastern, and then we'll go racing next Saturday night at 8:30 Eastern, all here on FS1. Well, coming up next, College Football Extra with Rob Stone, and that'll be followed by Boise State and Oregon State. For Hermie Sadler and Caitlin Vinci, Phil Parsons and Michael Waltrip, I'm Vince Welch. Congratulations to William Byron, the winner in the Truck Series Chase Opener.